Welcome to yet another episode of the FINDAS NRI series. And today we have a extremely knowledgeable guest. His name is Shishir Chitnis, and he's from Mumbai, representing Synergics 91, which is a kind of a extended arm for FINDAS. And Shishir is the tax expert, and he is specifically focusing on NRI taxation. So today we are going to do a discussion in this domain of NRI taxation, and Kunal is going to represent the NRI community out there, and he is going to ask a lot of different questions that may be on top of your mind, and there could be some hurdles as NRIs for you to invest in India. So Kunal is going to represent, bring out all that hurdles so that your process of investing in India and taking advantage of the fastest growing economy in the world is going to be much smoother, and you will love the experience instead of finding it difficult. So over to you, Kunal.
Thank you, Samirji. Hi, Shishir. How are you?
Hi, Kunal. I'm fine. Thank you. Hello, Samirji. Hope you are also doing very well.
Good.
Okay. So, Shishir, as an NRI, I've been investing in India for a while, and
Okay.
one of the questions that my fellow colleagues or
Hmm.
friends over here have is, let's say when NRIs are investing in Indian mutual funds, right? What are the Indian income tax rules that are applicable to them?
Okay. So, Kunal, it is a very good question and at the same time quite specific question. But, to come to the specifics, let's first go into a little general part. What exactly is a NRI? Okay. A NRI in simple terms means non-resident Indian. Basically, an Indian or a person of Indian origin who stays outside of India. But to classify as NRI, these simple terms have to be further taken down and checked into numbers. So basically, any person who doesn't stay in India for more than 182 days in the previous financial year,
Hmm.
and along with that, in the previous 4 financial years, he does not stay for more than 365 days. And in the previous year, he does not stay for more than 60 days, he or she, then that person clearly classifies as a non-resident Indian.
Okay.
Here, there might be a question in anybody's mind. It is that is citizenship and residential status one and the same? Well, the answer to this is a clear no. A person can hold Indian citizenship and still be a non-resident. Also, you can both be an NRI and relinquish the Indian citizenship at the same time. Overseas citizen of India or person of Indian origin are one of the examples. People staying outside India can very easily hold an OCI card and avail the benefits. Now, coming to the point of taxation. Well,
Hmm.
taxation in any country, be it Australia, be it USA, or be it India, can be a little tricky concept, but with the right help, with the right exposure, and with the right guidance, the ship can very nicely sail through these tricky waters. In very simple terms, an NRI is put to taxation in India for only the income that that person earns in India. So, for example, if any person has a property in India and he or she is earning a rent income, then that is his income. If suppose that person deals in shares and he has sold some shares, then that again the capital gains is a income which happens in India. But at the same time, if that NRI is working in his country of residence, be it Australia or any other country, then whatever income earned via his foreign sources is not taxable in India. These are very simple and very clear conditions, but this is applicable to a person who is a NRI. Why I am specifically focusing or mentioning these three letters is because NRI statuses also have some further, sub statuses in that, which is called as a resident but not ordinarily resident, and at the same time resident but ordinarily resident. The taxation rules accordingly change for that, and these can become a little complicated, which we can look into depending upon what the case and what the status of that person is.
Okay.
The another thing which comes into the point when it comes to NRI taxation is that similar to Indian residents, NRIs can also avail benefits while earning their income in India. They can avail some benefits by by investing their amounts towards certain specific options which can give them tax benefits, like payments towards a life insurance policy in India, or they have paid for some tuition fees for their kids, payment towards any unit linked plan, or they have spent some amount to repay the principal amount. Basically, if there is a property that you hold in India and it is on loan, then repayment of that loan can also help you in earning benefits under the taxation schemes in India. And lastly, they can invest under the ELSS schemes of various mutual funds. So this is all about, in simple terms, about what exactly an NRI is and
Hmm.
how the taxation in a broad way works around this.
All right. Then Shishir, my question would be, let's say if I pay the tax on certain earnings in India, do I have to pay the tax
Yeah.
again in Australia or for any NRI anywhere in the world?
Okay. I got your question, and I think this question is probably the one of the most important questions which can trouble any NRI, or can make them think a lot. So basically, it is that India as a country has DTAA to extend it. This means Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement with major countries of the world. Now, what does DTAA do? As per its name, that is Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement, it helps you, or it gives that NRI the benefit of the taxes that that NRI has paid in India on the incomes earned in India when that amount gets added up to his foreign income in his country of residence. So,
Hmm.
for example, Kunal, since you're staying in Australia, you are earning your salary income or any other income sources in Australia.
Hmm.
Now, let's say you have done some capital gains transaction in India and you have earned some income. On that capital gains, depending upon the taxation rates and depending upon the type of capital gains it was, you have paid some tax in India. Now,
Hmm.
when you will repatriate this amount, or when this amount will get added up with your income sources in Australia, the tax paid in India will always be given to you as a benefit. And
Hmm.
this is specifically mentioned between India and Australia under the DTAA, which has been signed by both the countries. So that is where DTAA comes into the picture, and a non-resident can be assured that there are legal ways to manage these taxes, especially in their country of residence.
So in short, then I don't have to pay double taxes. Um,
Exactly. Exactly. That is main point of DTAA. There are some countries which don't have, taxation like UAE or any other countries. That
hmm.
even with these countries, India has a DTAA for
Hmm.
many other things, and that helps the overall transactions to move very smoothly.
Right. So Shishir, let's say if I wanted to work with you on,
Mhm,
on guiding me on what to do in India from a taxation
mhm,
perspective, and obviously
mhm,
I've been living here for 20 years. I have my own
mhm,
account over here.
mhm, mhm,
Would you
mhm.
be open to work with and discuss with my accountant if required to make sure that, I am compliant in both the countries?
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, it would be a total win-win situation for your accountant who is based out of your country of residence, that is Australia, and also for us, because the kind of documentation that would be required at Australia is something which your accountant would be very well equipped with. So
Hmm.
for us to supply all those documentations when it has properly happened step by step in India, it becomes very easy,
Hmm.
and thereby you stay compliant in India, and at the same time you stay fully compliant in Australia, and there are no worries as such.
Okay, so Shishir, I have one question
Hmm.
now. A lot of NRIs do come to us for investment, and
Okay.
there are few cases where a
Mm-hmm.
person starts investing. That time he's a resident Indian, he's staying in India. Then he finds some job maybe in
Mm-hmm.
Europe or in the US, or then he shifts
Correct.
there,
Correct.
and he still continues to invest from the same old
Mm-hmm.
account, his saving account in India.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to throw
Mm-hmm.
some light on whether this is legal, first thing, which I don't think
Yeah.
is, but you are
Okay.
the right person to answer
Okay.
that. And what is the right way to deal with this if that is the case, that initially you are
Okay.
in India and then you move to other country and your investments are on.
Okay. Okay. Sameerji, this is a very important question. That is because many a times people start their investments when they are in India. And as you said, they get an opportunity, they go outside, they earn their incomes there in India. For any person who is a resident in India, it is very simple for him to open a savings account. But once the status of that resident Indian changes to NRI, that person is not legally allowed to hold a resident Indian account, that is savings. Basically, that person should hold either a NRO account or an NRE account, or if it is feasible for them, they can hold both the accounts. And whatever investments that have been happening from their end in India, they have to be routed through these NRO or NRE accounts depending upon their sources of income. So, so for example, if any individual has started their investments, let's say in some mutual funds, and that person has done it directly, then what will happen is once the status changes to NRI, that person will have to first inform income tax department that my status has changed, and at the same time they will have to inform each mutual fund individually that my statuses have changed, my bank account numbers and other credentials have accordingly changed, and this is the route now from which the investments will happen. And I think precisely that is where you come into the picture, so that if anybody is doing an investment through you, then they just have to inform you and you will take care of the further things. But the most important part is this is for any NRI, it is not legal to hold the resident Indian account. They have to shift it to the non-resident account statuses, and be it with any bank, whichever bank offers NRI banking services, they will have to do it with.
Okay, so thank you for that answer. Extension of the same question now I'm going to ask you
Yes.
is first thing what I understood is if you are a resident Indian and you become a NRI, you are not allowed to hold your normal savings or current account in India. You have to convert it into a
Yes.
NRI account by informing the bank, first thing. Second thing
Absolutely.
is the extended question is now somebody is going to have income in both locations. Like he's got a rental
Correct.
property, say in India, so there's an income all in India, and he's got a job in the US. So income from US is there. Now, what does he do with his Indian income? His Indian account, you said he has to close down. So where does that Indian income go? And where does that
Yes.
foreign income go from the US? And now,
Yes.
what
Yes.
would you recommend as a process for him to, if he wants to, say, start investing in equities or equity mutual funds? Then what is the best way, what is the recommended account with the bank that he should hold in order for his investments to be smooth and both legal?
Both things. Correct. Another question which is of very big importance. To answer this question, the answer is pretty simple. A person when he or she becomes an NRI, basically, as I said in my previous answer, they can hold NRO and NRE both the type of account. NRO account is a very similar account to the savings account in India. Basically, it is like a savings account made for non-residents. So whatever income NRI who earns in India, be it rent, be it interest, or any other ways, let's say some professional consultancy income or any other income, that income should be parked in the NRO account.
Okay.
And that income can be further used to make investments in India. So basically, it is very simple. Incomes earned in India be parked in NRO and routed for investment. Similarly, NRE is like an account with an Indian bank, but it is only held, it can only, get foreign currencies in that account. You cannot transfer Indian rupees directly, neither can a direct transfer to the NRE account happen like usually it happens between two Indian accounts. So any person who is an NRI and is earning income outside India, he or she can make use of this NRE account, park their foreign funds in the NRE account, and from that NRE account, use that money to further invest in India and earn, all the benefits of investing in India. The another big benefit of a NRE account is that whatever interest incomes you earn in the NRE account, they are basically tax free. That is basically they are not taxed in India. But does that mean that any capital gain transaction which will happen through an NRE will not be taxed? Then that is not the case. A capital gain transaction will be taxed in India because that transaction happens in India, to keep it very simple. But on another light, any income earned via, let's say you have made an FD, fixed deposits from the NRE account, then that interest earned will not be taxable. Or if you have a simple NRE account, then that NRE interest will again not be taxable. So these are the simple benefits. To summarize, Foreign income, park it in NRE, use it to invest in India. Indian income, park it in NRO, use it to invest in Indian investment options.
Right. And one short extension to this is both the money that is invested through NRE and NRO can be repatriated to his country wherever he wants to take it. Is it possible?
Yes. It
Oh,
is possible. It is whenever funds are there in NRO account, and if you want to transfer it to any foreign country account or even if to an NRE account, it cannot be a simple, log into your account and make the transfer transaction. That is where a chartered accountant or a
right.
tax expert comes into the picture because as per the Income Tax Act 1961, there are some rules which become applicable here. And any person willing to transfer his NRO money to his NRE account or any other foreign account will have to comply with compliance, which is called as filing of forms 15 CACB. And these forms help them basically to transfer the funds by mentioning all the details. And with correct guidance, these forms can be filed and the amounts can be pretty easily transferred.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that.
So I mean, I had the another question that I had was on repatriation, which you just mentioned. Is there anything else that as an NRI we need to know about the repatriation process? Is that something that an NRI can do on their own, or do they, as you said, will need some experts' help, guidance?
Yes. See, basically, it is always advisable to have an expert opinion in this because there are transactions which are put to tax in India. There are transactions which are not put to tax in India. For example, you have let's say, your parents in India and they transfer you funds and you are just transferring that money to your abroad account. Now, this amount won't be taxed in India, but that has to be mentioned in those forms with giving due consideration to all the articles and all the references of the DTAA between the two countries. So, for example, India and Australia, these references have to be given. But let's say you have done some transactions in capital gains or you have earned incomes in India via professional sources, etc. Then these are taxable incomes.
Right.
And accordingly, if there are TDS and other compliances which are applicable, then these things also have to be mentioned. So, as much as everybody wishes that these transactions have to be extremely simple when it comes to just transfer of money, it is simple, but it requires a small compliance with that. Because at the end of the day, the money is going out of India and it has to go legally and properly and not unnecessarily attract any other complications.
Right. Well, thank you. That's very helpful. Is there any compliance checklist or, under what circumstances an NRI should be filing taxes in India?
Yes. Absolutely. I think for the benefit of all our, NRI diaspora, I'll share a document with them, which will help them in knowing as to if they are applicable to file taxes in India so that they can take the necessary assistance. Yes. So as everybody can see, any NRI, whosoever, plans or owns to plan any Indian real estate, stock, mutual funds, fixed deposits or bonds, or they are anticipating to inherit any assets in India in the future, or do your deposits in the Indian bank account exceed the prescribed threshold limits? Has the TDS or TCS of your Indian income, including bank interest, it has crossed the limit of 25,000? Most importantly, have you spent over 2 lakhs of rupees from your Indian account for travel in the last year? This is a very important point which usually gets missed out because people think that I have not earned any income in India. There is also no TDS. Let's not file it. But they miss out on the fact that they have come to India or they have used their Indian bank account for traveling either to India or to any other country for whatever reasons, be it personal, be it professional. Or if you are considering a permanent move back to India, if for these all six, reasons, if your answer is yes, then it is always essential to make sure that your income tax returns are correctly filed in India. Not filing anything in any way, obviously there will be penalties, there will be complications, be it India, be it Australia, be it United States of America, any other country. So to stay away from all that and to be compliant, these are the 6 things which any NRI, OCI or PIO has to remember and make use of these 3 things and accordingly, get in touch, either their expert or they can get in touch with us and accordingly make sure that they are compliant by filing income tax returns here in India.
Yeah, I have heard of story where one of my friend, when tried to repatriate, he had issues because he was not compliant in India. So, and then it
Exactly.
gets into a bit of a trouble, or the process gets delayed. So I completely agree.
Exactly. Also, just to add to this, every NRI has to make sure that their status on the income tax website shows that they are an NRI.
Hmm.
Because even if you want to make any investments in India and you tell them that yes, I am an NRI, then all these things get correlated, and accordingly your KYC, that is know your customer documentation, happens. So
Hmm.
if you are an NRI, there are certain exemptions which are given to you. But if your status doesn't reflect clearly, then these exemptions will not be applicable, and unnecessarily the process will, drag on a little bit.
Okay, so good that you brought up this question because we also have been facing some problems
Okay.
with the NRIs investors. Like the NRI has moved out of India
Mhm.
almost more than a decade, much
Okay.
before the Aadhaar was launched. And now he
Okay.
comes back and wants to invest. And now the KYC
Mhm.
norms are asking for Aadhaar. And his
Aadhaar.
status on
Yes.
the income tax website is still
Yes.
showing as resident Indian because it
Okay.
is not
Okay.
changed in the tax thing. So,
Understood.
my question is, are we in a
Mhm.
position to help this? What is, you can quickly, briefly tell us what is the process that
Absolutely.
happens?
Absolutely. 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 This thing can happen with any NRI because it is not their ideally it is not their job to log in and check if their status is showing or not. Yes, it is a kind of a prerogative. If they do it by themselves, that is amazing. But by any chance, if this process doesn't happen, then we can absolutely help them end to end. That is not a problem. The process is quite simple. Basically, every SSC under the Income Tax Act is given an income tax officer. This income tax officer is given they are given their own email IDs, which are the official ones. All you have to do is you have to first log into your account, put a grievance. Once that grievance is logged in with these officers, they will reply. They might ask you for certain documentations which clearly state that you are an NRI. These documentations have to be sent them either by email, or if any facility over the grievance portal is being made available, then you can upload it there. Once these documents reach them, these income tax officers or their team, they take the action, and accordingly on their portal, the changes are made, and then your status is changed as a resident Indian to a non-resident. This process can be a little slow because there are manual verifications and manual authorizations which come into the picture. Not everything is automated, but then it is recommended that you get this done, or you at least give it a check before you actually start with any investment.
So, any more questions, Kunal?
Nope,
Not for
nothing from.
today. Okay, no problem. So, in the end, I will quickly summarize first that my appeal to all NRIs is please make sure that you don't do something which you don't understand. You might have moved out of India long time back, but now India is the fastest growing economy in world, and we are completely digitized. So there was a time when you are an NRI and still investing in RI and nobody knows about it. But that time is now history. Now, if you are an NRI, the system knows about it and you get after the taxman before the taxman gets after you. That is the recommended thing. Otherwise, you are going to have to deal with some music which you don't like, and you staying in some country outside of India dealing with the income tax department is not so easy. And that is why we have people like Shishir who is going to help us through that process, make it very, very smooth. And one concern that most NRIs always have, I have been dealing with a lot of them, is that the speed at which the things get done in the developed countries, in the US, in the Europe, in Australia, and the speed in India, they don't match. So the expectation from the NRI side is very high, but the delivery from the Indian side is pretty much slow. In order to deal with this problem also, we need to hand over the work to an expert and not do our own reinvention of the wheel, I will say. So best thing is, if you want any kind of a help in the taxation domain, Shishir is the right person to there be guiding us. If you need any help for the investment part, you can come to FINDAS, you can come to me. And I'm going to request Shishir that since he's come on the FINDAS platform and he has been very generous to offer his services and help and knowledge and skills, all that to all our current and future clients, to have a 20-minute free discovery call for as an offer from his side to all the NRIs. If anyone has any concern, any issues to be discussed, we are going to give a email address of Shishir in the description of this video. I'm going to put that. So the request is, if you have any concern, please drop him a mail, and then he will share his number on the mail so that he doesn't get spammed. So just make sure that your genuine problem is discussed with Shishir, and he is going to help you to make your process smooth. If you have any kind of investment related concerns, I hope you have been watching our previous videos and they are creating some value for you. We are all as a team ready to help you and make your investment process enjoyable, profitable, because India is going places. We are the fastest growing economy, and the next 15 years is really the golden era for India. And this is the time that all of us need to invest legally, invest smoothly, and also enjoy the process. So that is all for now. I hope you get value from this episode, and see you in the next episode. Till that time, if you have any queries, you know whom to contact. Thank you. Thank you, Shishir, for your amazing inputs. Thank you, Kunal, for your questions representing the whole NRI community out there. And we hope the Indian money comes back to India.
Thank you, Samir.
Thank you.